What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to my daily 10 p.m. silver stacking video. Thank you for tuning in. The government has confiscated our gold in the past, so what would stop them from doing it again? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. We need to understand why they confiscate gold, how they do this, and will they do it again? And I found an article that talks about gold confiscation in the future. Now, this idea, this conversation started because they actually banned silver in the past. You couldn't buy silver on the COMEX. You couldn't buy silver. All you could do was sell it to big bullion or the banks because they needed silver for the industrial sector. And that was directly because the Hunt brothers owned up to 77% of the global silver supply. So they had to act drastically. The government had to act extreme. And what they did was ban silver. And that was when silver was $50 from the Hunt brothers cornering the market, which crashed the price from $50, the highest price till this day silver's ever been, all the way back down to 14. So when we were talking about the government banning silver for the reason they needed it, to make these, these laptops and cell phones and everything that silver is used for, the Gold Confiscation Act, or I guess it's the Executive Order 6102, is very similar. In times of economic crisis, when they need gold for specific reasons, they actually can confiscate it, and it's happened several times throughout history. Talking about 1933, 1934, 1954, 1971, 1974, it's happened several times. So can it happen again? And what would that look like? Now, let me just add some context. They're not going to kick down your front door and steal your safe, right? It's not like that. But it is, and it has been pretty extreme. Now, history, is a lot different. The way the government and just how the system works is a lot different than it used to be. And you'll see what I mean by how extreme some of these situations have been, and most likely what would happen nowadays. So we're going to be going over a lot of different instances of them confiscating gold, why they do this, and the reality of it happening again. And I also want to talk a little bit about the silver side of things. It's called Silver Rule 7, which is basically the silver side of Executive Order 6102. And Silver Rule 7 was when they made this new law and just directly banned silver. And it's interesting because that actually led to Silver Thursday, which was when on a Thursday, the market collapsed nearly 50% directly from them banning silver. So it's going to be a very interesting video. You all loved the video talking about the silver side of this situation. So I did want to go into the gold side of things as well. The link to these two articles will be in the description. Let's jump straight into it. So government confiscation of gold, understanding the facts. So many investors have heard the U.S. government confiscated the public's gold years ago. Is it true? Is it a rumor? Could it happen again? This is an issue that comes up time and time again with gold investors. Rather than speculate, we believe it's best to consider the facts. Below is a timeline that explains exactly what happened and, more importantly, how today's investors should react and what they can do to make sure they're prepared in case it happens again. What a beautiful intro to start this off. And this is actually what was in the news issued April 5th, 1933. This is exactly what it looked like. Imagine you're reading the newspaper, and this is what, under executive order of the president, all persons are required to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates now owned by them to the Federal Reserve Bank branch or agency or any member bank of the Federal Reserve. Imagine getting the newspaper, owning gold, and seeing that. Imagine that. Imagine how crazy you would feel, how scared you would feel. This is, you're investing into this stuff, and an executive order from the president is requiring you to turn all of it in. Imagine that. So, President Roosevelt's executive order 6102 required U.S. citizens to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all but a small amount of gold coin, gold bullion, and certificates owned by them to the Federal Reserve in exchange for $20 per ounce. $20 per ounce. And that's another thing that people don't understand is they still were going to pay you for it, right? They're not just saying, give us your gold. They're going to pay you, but it was illegal to hold it. So under the Trading with an Enemy Act of October 6, 1970, as amended, or 1917, as amended on March 9th, 1933, violation of the order was punishable by fine up to $10,000, which is around $167,000 today, or that was in 2010, so even more. I mean, imagine $10,000 back then when gold was $20 an ounce, right? Or up to 10 years in prison, or both. You could spend up to 10 years in prison for not turning it in. An exception to the order was listed in Section 2, and this is 2B, gold coin and gold certificates in an amount not exceeding the aggregate $100 belonging to any one person, and gold coins having a recognized special value to collectors of rare and unusual coins. So if it's not, they don't care about the coin, they don't care about the numismatics, the semi, they need the bullion because they're going to melt it down. Now, January 30th, 1934, the Gold Reserve Act of January 30th required that all gold and gold certificates held by the Federal Reserve be surrendered and invested in the sole title of United States Department of Treasury, and changed the value of the dollar in gold from $20 to $35 per ounce. And that was partially when FDR devalued silver. The gold to silver ratio historically was 8-1, 16-1, right? Because that's the rate it comes out of the ground. For thousands of years, it was 8-1 because it comes out of the ground 8-1. But in 1930, FDR got in office, changed the gold to silver ratio from 16-1 to 75-1. 75-1 in just a span of a year. So in 1954, the Treasury Department amended the gold regulations of the original executive order to enable the continuance of the exemption of rare coins from the gold confiscation provisions. And they expanded the definition of coins with a recognized special value to collectors of rare and unusual coins to include gold coin made prior to April 5th, 1933. And this was Federal Register 43. I mean, we're not going to, all that stuff. But that's crazy that they're even, I guess, changing the law a little bit and saying, expanding the definition of coins and what it means to collectors or value. I mean, very interesting stuff. And you could see how it's a little shady. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't imagine living in this time, being a precious metals investor. So the price of gold remained fixed from January 30th, 1934 until August 15th, 1971, when President Nixon announced the United States would no longer convert dollars to gold at a fixed value, thus abandoning the gold standard for foreign exchange. And there you have it. And if you ever look at a chart of the dollar from this point on, guess what happens? I don't even have to tell you. So December 31st, 1974, with Executive Order 11825, President Gerald Ford repealed the executive order that Roosevelt used to call in gold in 1933. This was necessary because on the same day Congress restored Americans' right to own gold, the limitation on gold ownership in the U.S. was repealed after President Ford signed a bill legalizing private ownership of gold coins, bars, and certificates by an act of Congress, and this which went into effect on December 31st. I mean, this stuff is crazy. It's honestly just crazy to think about, all of this happening within a couple decades. I mean, imagine how scary one day, it's allowed again, and then one day, it's just a mess. And looking forward, and the reasoning for this is similar to what's happening today, with the financial crisis, with the, I guess, amount of demand in especially silver, but also gold, right? We're going to be running out of gold only 5-10 years after silver. I made a video about that the other day. And, the point is that the only reason America is the richest country in the world is because we own the most gold. And back then, they needed the gold and they needed these things regardless if they were going to take it from people or out of the ground. So, and what would that look like moving forwards? What if there's not enough silver and they need silver to make these electric vehicles or these solar panels? What are they going to do? Just boost mining out all of a sudden when mining's been getting cut back by hundreds of millions of ounces for the last 7 years? No. I mean, yes, they're going to boost mining, but if they need it to such a severe degree, and if we're looking at the reality of silver scarcity, then they're going to ask us to turn it in. But it wouldn't be as black and white as that. Now, well, in my opinion. Now, December 17th, 1985, President Reagan signed into law a Gold Bullion Coin Act, which allowed the U.S. Mint to produce gold coins from newly mined domestic sources. Gold American Eagles went to become one of the most well-known gold coins in the world. Now, here is the interesting part of this. Gold confiscation in the future. So the question remains, could it happen again? Who knows? Of course, it is possible. It has been done before, and governments in times of stress simply change the laws. And yes, in times of stress. Are we in stress right now with a global can't even say the word, but yes. We're talking about a precious metal shortage and a astronomically high demand of especially silver, looking forwards into this new digital age, this new technological era we're advancing in. So could they do it again when they've done it with gold and silver time and time again? So as you can see above, gold bullion was forced to be sold to the government in 1933. Then in 1974, that executive order was repealed. Furthermore, in 1977, Congress removed the president's authority to regulate gold except during a national emergency of war. It is true that numismatic collector type coins were excluded in 1933 confiscation. Whether or not they will again be excluded in any future confiscation is completely unknown. So there is a logical thought process for excluding collector coins in that the government was trying to obtain monetary control of gold bullion. The government had no interest in rare and unusual coins of special value to collectors. However, what the government has done in the past is not necessarily, indicative of what they will do in the future. Bottom line, confiscation did happen. It was repealed, but it could happen again in the future. Laws can change to do that. And yes, look what happened with the Hunt brothers. They made a law on the spot. Just on the fly, just to take the Hunt brothers' silver, right? Because they needed it. We're just going to make a law on the spot, on the fly. Give me all your silver. It was crazy. There's a lot more to that story, right? But it's just a crazy situation. And if you haven't seen that video I made on the Hunt brothers with the Silver Rule 7, I highly recommend you watch that video because it's similar to this, but it's very, it's very different as well. So yeah, I found another article. It's just kind of talking about similar things, but here's an actual. So I want to see this. So I wonder if I can zoom in. Oh wow. So I just want to see if we can actually read. I'm sure I can Google and I'm sure I can Google this newspaper article and read what it's all saying, except for just the headline. So I can see it says forbidding the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates. And I can see that says by virtue of authority valued in. I can't read any of that, but. And then it says for further information, and this was from FDR. This is when. He changed the gold to silver ratio from 16 to 1 to 75 to 1, like I was saying earlier. But it says down here, gold certificates may be identified by the words gold certificate appeared thereon. I mean, yeah. The serial number and the treasury seal on the face of a gold certificate are printed in yellow. Be careful not to confuse gold certificates with other issues which are redeemable in gold, which are not gold certificates. Federal notes in the United States, notes are redeemable in gold but are not gold certificates and are not required to be surrendered. Criminal penalties for violation of executive order: $10,000 fine or 10 years imprisonment, or both, as provided in Section 9. Imagine that. Like, imagine just reading the newspaper one day and finding out since you own gold and you don't turn it in, you could be spending 10 years in prison or $10,000 fine, which back then, that's like getting like a $200,000 fine in today's terms and going to prison for 10 years. All because you have to turn in your... I mean, what a crazy time that must have been. And what a crazy time. But yeah, I mean, I just can't. This stuff is just crazy to me. So let's see. I just want to see if this article brings up any other points that the other one didn't. And I did, when I was reading through it, it did bring up some other things. The main rationale behind the order was actually to remove the constraint of the Federal Reserve, preventing it from increasing the money supply during the Depression. In the Federal Reserve Act 1913 required 40% gold backing by Federal Reserve notes that were issued. By the late 20s, the Federal Reserve had almost hit the limit of allowable credit, and this was gold backed by its possession. I mean, so this is interesting. The price of gold from the Treasury for international transactions was then raised by the Gold Reserve Act to $35 an ounce, which is equivalent to $700 in 2020. Oh, and this is the infamous 1933 double gold eagle, the St. Gaudens. And that's the coin that, is such a beautiful coin, but also extremely rare. That's like the most popular coin in the world, basically, and the most sought after. See the St. Gaudens. The 1933 Double Eagle is a United States $20 gold coin. Although 445,000 of these were minted, none were ever officially circulated, but all but 2 were ordered to be melted down. However, 20 more are known to be rescued from melting. I mean, like, that's such a cool coin, and that coin is, I can't even imagine. And it even says about 20 illegal coins were stolen, and that's leading to an outstanding U.S. Secret Service warrant for arrest and confiscation of the coin. A legalized surviving coin sold for $7.5 million in 2002, making it one of the most valuable coins in the world. So yeah, that's what I want. It's just crazy. All this stuff is crazy. Stuff like that doesn't really happen nowadays. It doesn't feel like. I mean, I guess there's a lot of different situations, but, this stuff was crazy back then. And that was because, we're kind of transitioning out of gold being money, or gold and silver being, backing the dollar. So you could see how I guess messy of a situation that is. So yeah, I don't know. Here's a similar laws in other countries. In Australia, Part 4 of the Banking Act 1959 allows the Commonwealth government to seize private citizens' gold in return for paper money, where the Governor General is satisfied that it is expedient to do so for the protection of the currency or the credit Commonwealth. Then on January 30th, 1976, the operation of that part of the act was suspended. So yeah, cool stuff, very interesting stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like the video, comment down below, share the video. This is definitely some interesting stuff that I hope most people are interested in. I mean, yes, you could just be stacking silver for, the monetary gain, but a lot of us have passion and are interested in this as well. So I think this is definitely a video that hopefully you enjoyed. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. I'm doing a 48K giveaway as well. I just announced the 2 winners of my 47K giveaway. They won 221. They won two people won 2021 Brilliant Uncirculated Pandas. So, yeah, cool prizes, lots of silver given away to lots of different people. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.